Yes, regarding the issue of an absolute moralism, I was raised Roman Catholic, and one of the absolute fundamental moral values I was raised with was that it is wrong inherently to terminate a human life, to kill people. And that's one of the 10 Commandments, and it made a lot of sense to me. Then, as I grew older, I learned that it was okay sometimes to kill people. For example, in times of war, self-defense, capital punishment, abortion, things like that. It was okay to terminate a human life. In view of that, I mean, to me, that seems like a very fundamental issue, and it seems to be an issue in which people pretty much, they allow their morals to wrap around whatever's convenient at the time. If we're in a war, okay, it's okay to kill people then, or in self-defense, but in general, it's not okay to kill people. To me, that defies kind of a absolute moralism, and it seems to indicate more of a human aspect than one of God. And one quick point I wanted to make as well, the idea that I'm just a bunch of atoms in a sack of fluid, to me, I find to be fantastic and incredible. And when I look up at the stars in the sky in the evening, I see such wonder that I'm a part of this universe and that I'm actually aware of that. And I can see it, that it doesn't seem meaningless to me at all. And it doesn't require God.
It seems to me that the two sentiments you've expressed are contradictory. They move in opposite directions. On the one hand, you seem to want to affirm some absolute moral truths, and that these shouldn't be conveniently wrapped around our situations. And yet, on the other hand, you seem not to want to affirm that we're more than just a bag of chemicals on bones. Those seem to move in opposite directions, it seems to me. If you do affirm that that human life is intrinsically valuable, that people are ends and not means, then we are not simply bags of chemicals, because you can take a bag of chemicals and rip it open with a knife and spew the contents out on the ground, and that would be nothing immoral. But I think you would agree probably that if you were to go and do that to another human being, that would be immoral. That would be wrong. That would be a violation of their human worth and dignity. Now, I think that with respect to the former question, though, ethical principles clearly have to be applied to various situations. And general ethical truths have to be applied in specific cases. What I'm saying when I say there are objective values is that in any specific case, there is an objectively right thing to do and an objectively wrong thing to do. For example, I think you could say it's a general moral principle that you should not murder innocent people. And if people want to twist that around to meet human conventions, then I think they're simply wrong in doing so. And therefore, they're incorrect when they want to do that. I think it is always wrong to murder innocent people. So with respect to abortion, the whole issue there depends on whether or not you believe in the humanity of the fetus. If you believe in the humanity of the fetus, then the fetus is a human being, and to kill it is homicide. It's wrong. If you don't believe in the humanity of the fetus, if you think it's just, again, a bag of chemicals, then you don't think you're committing homicide. So that would be an example of where you would apply the ethical principle in a specific case.
Next question for Professor. I'm sorry, do you want to comment?
I hate to leave this as it is. The language, I think, is deceiving us when we speak of we should not murder an innocent person. What you have done is said the same thing twice. The Bible, the Old Testament, which is where the 10 Commandments are found, if I'm not mistaken, in Hebrew says, thou shalt not do murder. It does not say thou shalt not kill. And of course, if you read the Old Testament, the amount of killing that goes on there at the specific behest of God is amazing. It recognizes that under conditions of war, etc., killing may be acceptable.
Yes.
We call it murder when it isn't. And this is one of the great harms that was done in the translation of the King James Bible. It says, thou shalt not kill. That is not part of the original document at all. Thou shalt not murder, which is an utterly different thing. And as for the other part of that this is a human being, the law has always, well, until the time of Thomas Aquinas, there was great uncertainty, and Aquinas thought he settled this by saying that when the first movements are felt by the woman, that is when life, human life, enters this thing that's there, and from then on, a human being should have rights. Then, of course, later, in the 19th century, we found that there is no such thing as life ever beginning. It is merely passed on, and there's always life in some place or other, and the question is, what about the loss of the life of a being that is so small you can scarcely see it with the naked eye? What about, is that really serious? Well, at this point, I think we have to be influenced by the facts of biology. And the facts of biology, which have been well established, is that in the higher mammals, approximately 1/2 of all conceptuses are spontaneously aborted. Spontaneously aborted. That means in the United States, there are about 4 million spontaneous abortions every year, to which we have to add another million or maybe 1.5 million of deliberate abortions. But they're spontaneously aborted at so early a stage that the woman first thinks she has had a late period. I mean, first she thinks she's pregnant. Then she has a period after all. She says, oh, it was just delayed. So you see, having learned that there are 4 million spontaneous abortions, this throws an utterly new light on the thought that anything that has 46 chromosomes in it of the right sort is a human being. And we really should go back to stick with the time-honored legal principle that it's not a human being until it is born alive. Before then, it's not a human being. You deal with it some other way.
All right, I'd like to give Professor Craig a few minutes to respond to that, and then I think we need to go back to the audience questions. But
well, I think we basically agree that the issue is the fetus human? And if the fetus is human, then to kill it would be homicide. I think we agree on that general principle. So the question is, the biological question is this a human being? And I find it incredible to think that, say, a baby at 8 months gestation, which if born premature would survive, is not a human being just because it's geographically located inside the uterus instead of outside of it. So, but let me also respond to the point about the spontaneous abortions or miscarriages. I don't think that argument's very persuasive, because an analogous argument would be, look, every human being dies eventually. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with ending somebody's life, because they're all going to, they're going to die anyway. That's sort of the same sort of reasoning. Many of these fetuses die spontaneously, therefore it's nothing wrong with your killing such a being. That's like saying because human beings all are mortal and die by accidents and disease and so forth, therefore it's all right to kill them. That just seems illogical to me.
okay.